Tonight, the breaking news, the home explosion up in flames, igniting multiple homes in the neighborhood. The images coming in, the powerful blast leveling homes, one home igniting two more, then two additional homes going up in flames. Authorities on the scene at this hour, the public being told to avoid the area. What we know so far. Also breaking as we come on tonight, the record heat fueling large wildfires across several states. Firefighters forced to chopper in to battle the fires. Millions of Americans tonight under extreme heat alerts. And in the Northeast, the major shift in the weather as the Labor Day weekend approaches. Lee Goldberg is here. Tonight, President Trump doubling down on his deployment of the National Guard in Washington, D.C., the Guard now armed, patrolling the streets. The president suggesting Chicago is next. Outrage tonight over the 9-hour Department of Justice interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted of sex trafficking. Tonight, more of that audio, what she says about President Trump, about former President Clinton, and about claims that there is a Jeffrey Epstein client list, as the family of one of Epstein's accusers blasts the interview tonight, saying the Department of Justice is now allowing Maxwell to rewrite history. Tonight, 3 days after being released from custody, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is back in custody. The administration saying he will be sent to Uganda. But tonight, what a judge is now saying about this. Tonight, Israel's deadly airstrike at a hospital in Gaza. 5 journalists among at least 20 people killed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tonight calling it a tragic mishap. The countdown right now after multiple dramatic setbacks, SpaceX and the test launch set for a short time from now. In New York's Central Park, 2 separate attacks, the horrific scene, and there is news coming in on this. The stunning crash of firefighting helicopter trying to fill its bucket, the pilot losing control, plunging into the water. The major meltdown at the U.S. Open playing out with millions watching, and the new turn tonight. And the Powerball jackpot, how does $750 million sound?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to be back with all of you at home. We do begin tonight here with the scene of destruction after a massive explosion, multiple homes up in flames in a neighborhood just north of St. Louis, Missouri. The images coming in late today. At this hour, residents are being told to stay away. Authorities on the scene, the explosion erupting in one home, setting others nearby on fire. The flames continuing to spread, multiple homes going up in flames, damaging more than 20 homes in all. Tonight, a rescue task force searching for any possible victims in the rubble. So far, they say 3 people have been injured. The bomb and arson unit called to the scene, leading the investigation. Crews from the gas company are there as well, all now investigating what could have caused this. ABC's Mola Lenghi with the images tonight and what we know so far.
Tonight, a neighborhood in St. Louis County rocked by a massive home explosion. One home erupting, catching 2 nearby homes on fire. The fire continuing to spread.
Upon arrival on scene, we had 5 buildings that were on fire.
Multiple houses leveled, more than 20 others damaged. Shortly after 9 a.m., firefighters racing to the scene in Florissant. The fire still cracking and popping as they tried to get it under control. Smoke billowing into the sky, a car engulfed in flames. The interior of this home charred down to its frame. Bricks and 2x4s scattered across the area. At least 3 people injured. Remarkably, no one killed.
You can look at this carnage, and the fact that no one was killed is an absolute blessing.
Officials asking residents to stay away as they assess the damage.
If there's extensive damage in these homes, people will not be able to go back in there. It's just too dangerous at this time.
Well, David, as far as what caused that explosion in the initial home, tonight the local gas company there says so far they have found no structural issues in that area. Now tonight, the bomb and arson unit are leading the investigation, David.
Mola Lenghi, Mola, thank you. We turn now to the weather. Record-breaking heat fueling multiple wildfires, forcing evacuations across several states. While in the Northeast, a major shift in the weather just as the Labor Day weekend approaches. First, the fires tonight north of San Francisco. These are the images. Firefighters battling the picket fire. An emergency now declared. Evacuations underway in Central Oregon tonight. The flat fire exploding in size, scorching more than 30 square miles. Families forced to leave there as well. And tonight they're now using helicopters to get firefighters to the front lines because it's been so difficult to fight the flames, and you'll see it. Lee Goldberg on the heat, the fires, and the big change in the Northeast. And Trevor Ault in California tonight.
Tonight, record-breaking heat fueling multiple wildfires in the West, destroying homes and forcing thousands to flee. North of San Francisco in Napa County, a massive days-long battle to keep the picket fire away from neighborhoods. Choppers making daring nighttime assaults on the flames, and with the terrain there extremely rugged and remote. This footage from Cal Fire showing a helicopter attack crew flying into an area impossible to reach on foot. That fire still burning out of control, now more than 10 square miles. Up in Oregon, the flat fire has destroyed multiple buildings southeast of Portland, including at least 4 homes, more than 30 square miles charred since Thursday. The Pacific Northwest sweltering. This weekend, officials in at least 2 Oregon counties reporting heat-related deaths. And in the desert Southwest, monsoon storms threatening to spark new lightning-fueled fires. In Nevada's Black Rock Desert, a powerful overnight dust storm sending festival-goers scrambling for cover at Burning Man. Several tents damaged, but no one was hurt.
And David, the causes of both the picket fire and the flat fire are under investigation. Thousands of firefighters have been dispatched to try to get them contained. David.
All right, Trevor Ault tonight. Trevor, we appreciate it. Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg of WABC tracking it all for us, including a major cool down in the Midwest and the Northeast with Labor Day almost here. But Lee, I know you're going to start with these fires tonight.
Absolutely, David, because it's another day tomorrow of high heat and fire danger in the Northwest. Highs in the 90s, triple digits, dry breezes. You have heat alerts from California all the way to Washington. Well, there is some relief, and that's coming midweek. We go into the 80s, even into the 70s, places like Boise all the way back to Seattle. The monsoonal flow in the west is helping that, but we're also getting some flooding. We have some flood watches from California to Colorado all the way to Oklahoma. Those areas in yellow can see some rainfall rates of 2 inches an hour and cause some flooding. Then the eastern 2/3 of the country, a major cool down. We're skipping to September. Feels like 70s, and this coolness is stretching eastward. It'll get to the coast as we go through midweek and last into the weekend. David?
Lee Goldberg with us here on a Monday night. Lee, we appreciate it. Tonight, President Trump doubling down on his deployment of the National Guard in Washington, D.C. The troops are now armed, patrolling the streets as people head to work and as tourists visit the monuments. Tonight, the president suggesting Chicago is now next. And late today, Illinois' governor responding. Here's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, 2,200 National Guard troops patrolling the streets of the nation's capital. Commuters seeing them in train stations and stationed outside national monuments. And now, those troops are armed.
They're armed, capable of defending themselves and others if need be, supporting law enforcement.
Right now, the Guard is not deployed to Washington's most high-crime areas, stationed instead around tourist attractions and the metro. Local officials insist crime was already falling in D.C. Homicide down 32% last year after hitting a 20-year high the year before. But the president insisting that's not good enough, now setting his sights on other cities.
Look, Chicago, everybody knows how bad it is. They should be saying, please come in.
Homicide in Chicago is down 50% over 4 years after surging dramatically during the pandemic. Tonight, the Democratic governor of Illinois firing back.
This is about Donald Trump searching for any justification to deploy the military in a blue city, in a blue state, to try and intimidate his political rivals.
Today, I asked the president if he would send National Guard troops into red states too. The cities with the 2 highest homicide rates, St. Louis and New Orleans, though run by Democrats, are both in states with Republican governors.
We've talked a lot about Democratic-run cities and states. Yeah. Would you also consider sending the National Guard into red states and red cities that are also seeing high crime?
Sure, but there aren't that many of them. If you look at the top 25 cities that for crime, just about every one of those cities is run by Democrats.
The president says he has not decided whether to send the National Guard to Chicago, but tonight a blunt message for the president from the governor of Illinois saying, do not come. You're neither wanted here nor needed here. David.
Rachel Scott live at the White House for us. Rachel, thank you. Now to the outrage over the 9-hour Department of Justice interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted of sex trafficking. Tonight, more of the audio here, what she says about President Trump, about former President Clinton, and about claims there's a Jeffrey Epstein client list. As the family of one of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers blasts the interview now, saying the Department of Justice is allowing Maxwell to rewrite history. Here's Aaron Katersky.
Tonight, the anguished family of Jeffrey Epstein's most vocal accuser says the Justice Department's, quote, bizarre interview of Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, gave her a platform to rewrite history. The family of Virginia Giuffre furious after DOJ released audio and transcripts of Maxwell's 9-hour sit-down with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who used to be President Trump's personal lawyer. In the interview, Maxwell, who was serving 20 years for sex trafficking, proclaimed her innocence, insisted she didn't witness any inappropriate behavior by any of Epstein's powerful friends, and said a long-rumored list of Epstein's high-profile clients does not exist.
There's no list. There's never been a list.
And you never heard Mr. Epstein talk about such a list?
Never.
Maxwell was also asked about President Trump, who had a decade-long friendship with Epstein before their falling out.
I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects.
But she also contradicted Trump's claim former President Bill Clinton went to Epstein's private island 20 times.
You're not aware of President Clinton ever going to the island?
He absolutely never went, and I can be sure of that because there's no way he would have gone. I don't believe there's any way that he would have gone to the island had I not been there, because I don't believe he had an independent friendship, if you will, with Epstein.
At the outset of the interview, the Deputy Attorney General telling Maxwell she shouldn't expect to be rewarded.
By you meeting with us today, we're really just meeting. I'm not promising to do anything. I'm not promising to ask Judge Nathan or any of the judges that's been assigned to your case to do anything. We're just talking.
But Democratic Senator Adam Schiff says that just doesn't wash.
So she wants a pardon. She says exactly what her lawyers tell her is going to be necessary to get a pardon.
Shortly after the interview, in a highly unusual move, the Justice Department transferred Maxwell to a minimum security prison camp. Tonight, Virginia Giuffre's family says that sends a disturbing message that child sex trafficking is acceptable and will be rewarded.
The interview really was extraordinary, David. We can't think of another time a deputy attorney general flew to meet a convicted sex offender at her invitation. We know Maxwell wants out of prison. So the question tonight, David, does the president grant her wish? David?
You'll continue to follow this case, Aaron. Thank you. Now to the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. 3 days after being released from custody, he's now back in custody tonight. The administration now saying he will be sent to Uganda. Late today, a judge stepping in, and here's Pierre Thomas.
Just 3 days after he was released from federal custody, Kilmar Abrego Garcia arrested again by ICE officers when he arrived at his scheduled immigration appointment in Baltimore. And tonight, the Department of Homeland Security says he's being processed for deportation to Uganda.
We are all Kilmar!
Abrego Garcia, who was returned to the U.S. after being wrongfully deported to a notorious prison in El Salvador, today surrounded by supporters. Even though injustice is hitting us hard, he said, we do not lose faith. He's facing criminal charges filed after his deportation to El Salvador became the focus of an international controversy.
He's currently charged with human smuggling, including children. The guy needs to be in prison.
Abrego Garcia has pleaded not guilty, but his attorneys say the administration offered him a deal. If he changed his plea and serves time in prison, he would then be deported to Costa Rica, which has agreed to accept him as a refugee or a resident. They say if he didn't take the deal, he'd be deported to Uganda. David, tonight a federal judge putting the brakes on the government's plan to deport Abrego Garcia to Uganda, saying for now U.S. officials are absolutely forbidden from removing him from the U.S. The judge said it seems the administration wants to punish Abrego Garcia simply because he has exercised his constitutional right to a trial. David?
Pierre Thomas live in Washington. Pierre, thanks. Overseas tonight to Israel's deadly airstrike on a hospital in Gaza. 5 journalists are among at least 20 people killed. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tonight calling it a tragic mishap. Here's our chief international correspondent, James Longman.
Outrage is growing tonight after Israeli airstrikes on a Gaza hospital killed 5 journalists, among at least 20 killed and dozens more injured. Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis was hit with an initial strike, and after rescuers and journalists had rushed to the scene, a second strike came in. Graphic video capturing these moments just before it blasts the hospital. Smoke and dust billowing where people stood seconds earlier. Camera equipment found in the rubble. Israel says they were targeting Hamas and regrets the harm to civilians not involved, and that journalists are not specifically targeted. The 5 killed all worked for international news outlets, and it comes less than 2 weeks after an Israeli strike killed 6 journalists outside a different hospital.
Any reaction to this? Are you going to talk to the Prime Minister? I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that all nightmare.
The Committee to Protect Journalists accuses Israel of deliberately targeting journalists in order to stop information from leaving Gaza. They say nearly 200 journalists have been killed since this war began. Israel denies that claim and say they've launched an investigation. David?
All right, James Longman in London tonight. James, thank you. Back here in the U.S. tonight, the countdown to that launch after multiple dramatic setbacks. SpaceX and the test launch set for just a short time ago. Gio Benitez on how this played out tonight.
Tonight, just moments before launch, SpaceX scrubbing the 10th test flight of the Starship because of bad weather. The world's most powerful rocket sitting on the launch pad in southern Texas, waiting for the go-ahead to launch. Back in June, a Starship exploded on the launch pad during a pre-flight engine test. And over the past 3 flights, the Starship either blew up or broke apart, sending debris streaking across the skies over the Atlantic, forcing ground stops at airports. A lot is riding on this mission. Elon Musk is hoping that the Starship will one day take people to the moon or even Mars.
Each launch is about learning more and more about what's needed to make life multiplanetary and to improve Starship to the point where it can be taking ultimately hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people to Mars.
And David, Elon says that the whole goal here is to quickly reuse rockets to eventually build a colony on Mars. David.
Gio Benitez following this into the evening. Gio, thank you. When we come back tonight in New York's Central Park, 2 separate attacks, the awful descriptions of these attacks, and there is news coming in on this. Also, the major meltdown at the U.S. Open, what a tennis player did with millions watching. And look at this tonight, the stunning crash of a firefighting helicopter trying to fill its bucket right there. The pilot then losing control, the chopper then plunging into the water. What happens next here in just a moment. Tonight in New York City, police arresting a suspect accused of 2 separate attacks in Central Park. Authorities say an 18-year-old victim was punched, kicked, and choked near West 62nd Street in Manhattan. Police believe the same suspect later threw a 37-year-old man to the ground, biting his ear at West 93rd Street. Both victims are in stable condition. Overseas tonight, dramatic video of a firefighting helicopter crash in Brittany, France. The chopper filling its bucket with water, then spinning out of control and plunging into the pond right there. The pilot's obviously losing control. Both, though, escaping without injury. Just extraordinary. When we come back here, the remarkable scene, the tennis tantrum at the U.S. Open, what a player did in front of millions watching, and the new turn tonight with this. And the Powerball jackpot, the new jackpot number tonight, and it sounds real nice. To the index and the epic meltdown at the U.S. Open here in New York. Russia's Daniil Medvedev taking on France's Benjamin Bonzi in the first round. It began with a photographer mistakenly walking out of the court in the 3rd set. Medvedev fuming at the chair umpire for giving Bonzi a do-over on his first serve, riling up the crowd, causing a 6-minute delay. He went on to lose in 5 sets, smashing his racket to pieces. This went on and on. The photographer, by the way, who sparked the meltdown, now banned from the tournament. But tonight, Medvedev says he does not blame the photographer. The Powerball jackpot, tonight's drawing now worth $750 million. That's $338 million if you take the lump sum payment. Let us know if you win. When we come back here in the Northeast, the lifeguard at the beach getting all the attention, and he should. Finally, the lifeguard, America Strong. Tonight, with swimmers across this country getting ready for the Labor Day holiday, at Bay Head Beach in New Jersey, they are celebrating a beloved lifeguard who has kept them safe for 63 years. According to Guinness World Records, at 82 years old, Ed Kazukowicz is the oldest open water lifeguard in the world. In 1960, he was just 18. Ed began lifeguarding at the local pool. 2 years later, he started lifeguarding all along the Jersey Shore. In the 70s and 80s, that's Ed with his daughter Christina, just 2 years old in the picture. Through the decades, he has trained and mentored countless lifeguards. And right here tonight,
hi, David.
Ed, at 82, why he's still doing it.
It's out in the sunshine, able to do what I like to do, which is watch people in the water.
And joining us too,
David.
Bay Head Beach Superintendent Hei Kan-chen, who hired Ed for his current post at this beach more than 20 years ago.
Every year I get people asking me, is Ed coming back? Is Ed coming back? I said, as far as I know, he'll be back.
So many stopping by to see Ed right there in the lifeguard chair.
Hi, David.
Bay Head Council President Dennis Shanning.
Brings a lot of the young guards along, teaches them what they need to know.
18-year-old Dylan Johnson, it's his first season as a lifeguard.
What Ed taught me a lot about this summer was seeing where rip currents are, how to identify if a swimmer's in distress.
And tonight, Ed here with one simple message for you with Labor Day now approaching.
It's a nice sunny day. Having a good time.
Thank you, Ed. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the third year in a row.